What is up, Detroit Lions fans? It's your boy Will back with another episode of Detroit Den 313, where we talk about all things, everything Detroit Lions. I'm excited for this one. Doing just a little roll up of the guys who are taking off after the preseason game like this, and the guys that are just their stocks just plummeting. Just sell it, get rid of it while it still got some value to it because it seems like it's plummeting down to zero. But before we get going, guys, if you feel moved and you love Detroit Lions content, make sure that you subscribe and hit that bell icon so you don't miss any of our new content, guys. It helps us out tremendously. Now, that said, rolling right into it, we're going to start off with the guys whose stock seems like it's plummeting. We'll go to the next first, man, and we'll end this thing with a banger because I got a lot of good stuff that I want to talk about too. Steve did a roll up episode where he was talking about just giving a little bit more detail on some breaking down some things from the games. I'm not doing that. I just want to give guys that I loved and guys that I felt like I had some problems with or might be cut bait. So rolling into it, I'm not even going to beat around the bush. Nate Sudfeld, it was rough. It was rough. Now, what I'm not going to do is hammer him like everybody else has been hammered him. There were some variables that went on here. It was raining, right? It was raining. That offensive line was struggling, right? And then if really I could really put the whole offensive line in as their stock plummeting. That's that second team, third team offensive line was really struggling. But so I do kind of give a little bit of grace because of those couple of things, but at the end of the day, Nate, it just wasn't good enough football, man. It just wasn't good enough football. If you do stick around, we just need you to be better. We need you to be better. And I think you can be better. So that's been beat up enough. I'm going to get off of that one. Another one that I was kind of really surprised by is Matthew Betts, man. Matthew Betts did not get a lot of snaps, number one. Number two, when he was out there, I thought he had a pretty quick first step. I did like his first step. I did like his explosiveness, but he didn't get much done. He didn't get much done. I didn't see his number called at all. Really, I seen him running down on special teams. I seen him at the defensive end spot in the second half for a handful of snaps, and I didn't see much getting done. So I was a little bit surprised by that. There Nate Lynn and Isaac Uku got way more snaps. They pretty much played the whole game. Matt wasn't out there very much, so I don't know if that's indicative of what's been going on in training camp. I don't know if Matthew Betts is on his way out of the door or what's going on, but that's just something to keep an eye on because it didn't look good for him. Um, I'll go with a whole group next whose stock is plummeting. I'll say the whole receiving core. All receivers not named Isaiah Williams, your stock was plummeted. I didn't see anybody really that stood out to me getting separation because we can hang our hat on Nate Sudfeld and say, hey, he was the reason for guys not having success if we want to. But at the end of the day, I rewatched this film 3 times and I didn't see guys running wide open with crazy separation. So I need this receiving core when we're talking about guys like Donovan Peoples-Jones, who was playing in the second half of a preseason game, who should have been able to get some separation. Traquan Smith, like these are guys, man, that should be able to get separation. A veteran like Tom Kennedy, who's been through this thing for a few seasons now. These are guys that should be able to get open. So I need a little bit more out of that receiving core. We need to start maybe taking a look at some of these guys, or like we talked about before, maybe trading for somebody else to come in and give this receiving room a push. I like what we have in the starting lineup, but if we start to get some guys banged up, I think that it could be problematic. So that whole receiving core outside of Isaiah Williams, your stock plummeted yesterday. Here's my biggest stock plummeting issue, my biggest defensive issue, especially yesterday, was James Houston, man. James Houston. I didn't see enough from James Houston. I didn't see an impact on the game at all. As I watched the film, I only really seen one rush of his that I liked. It was early in the first quarter, where he dropped the shoulder and bent by the offensive tackle. Outside of that, I seen him getting blocked. I seen him getting uh slammed to the ground. I seen him like it just wasn't good from James Houston. If you're gonna be the guy that a lot of people think that you are, I think that you got to step your game up. So those are the guys for me that I think that their stock really plummeted yesterday. Sudfeld, Matthew Betts, our receiving core outside of Isaiah Williams and James Houston. So guys, put it in the comments. How do you feel about it? Is there some guys that I missed that you feel like their stock really plummeted? Is there some guys that you feel like that are on that list that shouldn't be on that list? Put it in the comments. Let me know what you're feeling like. Now, moving this thing, this some of these things that made me happy. I try to go progressively. One thing that I felt like made me happy, and a guy whose stock that I think immediately rose for me is Giovanni Manu. Now, pump the brakes. Pump the brakes. I'm not saying he gave up 2 sacks, in my opinion, or 1 sack and one QB hit, right? So and there was some plays to where he kind of lost this guy. But I will say this. I've been waiting to see this guy play. When he squares you up, puts his hands on you, he moves you flat out. Like when he squares you up and puts those paws on you, he moves guys around. Period. So I was excited to see that. I think the potential for me is here. So now it's not seeing him with those guys that look like little middle schoolers and he looks like a college athlete or NFL athlete playing against middle schoolers. He was playing against grown men, and when he was putting those paws on those grown men, he was moving those grown men around. So I like to see that. That excited me. Moving on, Isaiah Williams, man. Isaiah Williams made some plays. Now, I got to still pump this thing down and keep it relative. He made some plays. He did some things that I thought were cool, but at the end of the day, I'm not sure that it's enough to make this team. And that's no shade. I'm rooting for all these Detroit Lions, everybody that's wearing the Honolulu blue, but I just don't know that what he was doing out there is enough, right? Is enough. I just don't see that crazy level of explosiveness. I just don't see enough to me to get me super excited. But he played a heck of a game, so I will say that he's still got his name in the running to make this team. Uh, Broderick Martin, Broderick Martin. Now, Broderick excited me. Broderick excited me. Now, I will say I have seen some people that I feel like are deeming him as a starter or somebody comparable to DJ Reader. I don't think that we're there yet. There were some, there still was some things to where you could see that there's some things that he needs to work on. Pad level is still an issue, right? Um, his hand placement at certain times is still an issue. But I seen a guy who had violent hands. I seen a guy that was bench pressing guys and able to shed them and get in on run plays. I seen a guy that was hustling. I seen a guy that got a pressures. I seen a guy that was getting a sack or a half sack, but I think it was a full sack. Broderick Martin looked good. I seen exactly what I needed to see out of Broderick Martin, which was improvement. He looks tremendously better than he was last year. I think he already looks like a guy who can help us. Shout out to Terrell Williams, our defensive line coach, man. I see what you're doing out there. Broderick Martin looked good. He looked good for relative to what he is. I'm super excited for what he's going to turn into. The only thing that I will say, there was a couple of times to where it was 3rd and short and 4th and short, and he didn't he didn't give me that Vince Wilfork type of I'm just gonna stonewall you. There will be nothing gained. There was a few times that I seen him get blown back off the ball. There was a few times that I saw him get stood up. But all in all, Broderick Martin, tip my hat. I see you improving. Keep doing your thing, buddy. We're going places. Next guy, Sione Vaki, man. Sione Vaki. Sione Vaki made some plays. I like that his quickness and elusiveness in short area and short space, right? It looked great. I felt like when he got out there with the offense, he instantly kind of gave us a little bit of jolt of electricity. He started making some plays. He's another one though. I don't know if it was enough to beat out a guy like Craig Reynolds. So when we're talking about the running back race, now that said, he's going to make this team and be a great special teamer. And even when we talk about the interception, when Sione Vaki was the one who hustled down and recovered the fumble, and I think it was Coyote Awasika who forced the fumble. But either way it goes, those guys are hustling. Those guys are playing Detroit Lions gritty, Dan Campbell type of football, man. And I love that. So I think Sione makes this team. He's going to give us some help on special teams either way, but I'm not sure that it's enough to beat out Craig Reynolds. Craig, I still think it's your job to lose, man, but I really liked what I saw out of the couple of runs that I saw out of Sione Vaki. Um, Man, this is a guy that I haven't heard enough people talking about. He really excited me. He's a guy that I think that can be maybe a dark horse to make this team. Uh, Isaac Uku, man, out of Ole Miss, the old guy out of Ole Miss. He was in college for 172 years, and it paid off. Him rushing off that edge, he looked explosive, but he wasn't a one-trick pony. There was a couple of times he set the edge like a dog. So he's a guy that can rush the edge. Obviously, he's a guy that can set an edge in the run game. I loved his dent to long arm. I loved him rushing past the offensive tackles and just creating pressure on that quarterback. He had a sack as well. I think he might be. Uh, I think I can't remember. I can't remember if he was the one that got the sack that took the QB out of the game, but I know he did have a sack. I just felt like he was causing problems out there, man. So Isaac Uku is somebody that I'm going to be looking for to make this team, and he might be a dark horse that makes this team. He might be somebody that a guy like James Houston might want to look out for, because I felt like he was more impactful rushing off the edge than James Houston was. But bringing this thing to the combination, what everybody wants to hear about, Hendon Hooker. Hendon Hooker. Listen, I'm excited about what I saw from Hendon Hooker. Like I've talked about it on this channel multiple times. I remember Virginia Tech Hendon Hooker, the guy that had juke moves, the guy that was quick to take off. Then I also obviously remember Tennessee Heisman Trophy candidate Hendon Hooker, the guy that was slinging it around, that didn't run as much, right? I felt like we started to see a blend of both of those guys, which was a dream to me, a dream. The juke moves and the athletic ability that he showed in Virginia Tech, but with the cannon arm that he showed in Tennessee, that's what I've been hoping that the Detroit Lions have in their camp. And I seen glimpses of that in that preseason game. Some of those check down routes that he made, they just looked effortless. Some of the throws that he made down the field just looked effortless with the zip that he was putting on the football. Now, it wasn't all good. Some of them he was throwing over guys' heads. Some of them weren't as accurate as we would like to see. But what's the bottom line? We have Jared Goff, right, for the next 3 to 4 seasons. Hendon Hooker should have time to be able to develop over that time span. And I think that the potential could be special. It could be special. He could be a guy that could really, really, really have a successful NFL career. But we don't know. We don't know what we got yet. I'm not going too crazy, but I know the physical ability is there, and that really excited me. So I cannot wait to see more of Hendon Hooker. I'm aware that he is in concussion protocol. Hendon, we got to stop running over those safeties like that, man. You're a quarterback. That's not what we need you to be doing unless you're running him over to score a touchdown for the Super Bowl. Let's pump the brakes. Let's get down. Let's slide. But I'm excited to see a whole lot more of Hendon Hooker in this preseason, and just to kind of follow him and watch him develop as his NFL career unfolds. But right now, Jared Goff is our guy. So I don't want to get anything confused. I know sometimes words can get twisted. While I'm excited about Hendon Hooker, while I think Hendon Hooker offers some things that Jared Goff definitely does not offer, Jared Goff is our guy. Jared Goff is the quarterback of the Detroit Lions. There's no questions or qualms about that. And we need to give Hendon Hooker some time to develop. So, guys, put it in the comments. Who do you want to see that I haven't talked about, or who did I miss, right? Who did I miss that their stock is rising or their stock is plummeting? Because those are the guys that I was highlighting that I really saw watching this film a couple of times that I was super excited about. Again, Giovanni Manu putting paws on people, Isaiah Williams making a couple of plays, Broderick Martin ascending and just turning into a defensive lineman that I truly think can help the Detroit Lions. Isaac Uku is a sleeper dark horse to make this team. Sione Vaki, maybe special teamer of the year in a few seasons, and Hendon Hooker, maybe the quarterback of the Detroit Lions future down the road. So guys, put it in a comment. Let me know how you're feeling about the show. I will be back with another episode. Peace.